Hi, this is Zach from Worn & Wound. Today I'll be taking a look at the Orient Defender. This is a very cool watch from the brand that we've talked about many times before. We always really enjoy their offerings. There's a lot of different types of watches you can get from them, and at various price points, but they're always really affordable. This one here, which is a pretty popular model, clearly has a very military derived aesthetic. It's a little bit of a field watch. It's got a little bit of kind of a aviator style going on as well. It's really nicely designed. It comes in a few different colors. There's a really cool khaki color, a black, but here we have an interesting sort of mid-tone gray model. It's an automatic that also has a couple extra features to it, which is cool. It has a date complication where the day is shown through a separate hand there, as well as a 24-hour hand, which is quite useful and also makes sense on a military watch. And this watch also comes in at a remarkable price of $250 MSRP, but you can always get these for 30% off, so that'll come in at $175. So for a great looking automatic watch, $175 is a really great value. So let's take a closer look now. The case of the Orient Defender has very classic military design. It measures 42 millimeters in diameter, 48 millimeters lug to lug, about 12 millimeters thick. It has a 22 millimeter lug width, so it's a very nicely proportioned watch. It's it's sporty, robust, but not oversized at all, and very nicely proportioned all around. So the dial to the lugs to everything. 22 millimeter lug width is quite wide, I think, for 42 millimeters, but it actually kind of adds to the kind of masculine and kind of rugged look of this watch. So I think it works quite nicely. As you can see, the case is matte all around. So it has a very simple kind of low reflective design to it, also speaking to the military inspirations behind it. Very simple case shape, long lugs, fairly thick lugs, fairly thick bezels. So everything's fairly robust. Perhaps the most interesting and kind of different detail is that the crown is coming off here at 3.5, and it is a screw down crown as well. It happens to be polished rather than matte, so it doesn't quite fit in, but I happen to like the way it looks. It's a little bit different, a little bit funny. I think this actually has some similarities in design to the Seiko 5 SNKs, which we love as well, but this is a little bit beefier, a little bit more robust. Flipping the watch over, you have a very standard screw-in case back. Nothing really special going on here. There's a little bit etching on it. You have a little Orient hologram here, just kind of showing that this is in fact an authentic watch. It's very simple, but I think it's straightforward and successful, and it's nicely pulled off. The dial of the Orient Defender is very cool and very well designed. I think it really belies the price of this watch because there's a lot going on and it's very interesting. And they also, made it this very cool color. Like I said, there's actually a few colors out there. So there's khaki, this gray, and then black. And this gray is really interesting. It's kind of a granite almost. There's a bit of brown in there. So it's just a really nice color, a little bit different than anything I've really seen before, giving this watch just a little bit of unique personality and just overall really nice look to it. So the watch has, as you can see, kind of a very large primary index here of shapes, and these are all made out of molded applied markers. All are loomed as well. The fact that they are molded and three-dimensional makes them kind of jump off the face a little bit, adds a little bit of depth and texture, which is just immediately quite nice, and I think the proportioning of them to the dial is also very well thought out. In between them you have small hash marks for individual minutes, seconds, which is a great reference. Then on this outer chapter ring, which is angled down towards the dial, you have kind of a finer grade precision, so that kind of works with the second hand, as well as numerals for the minutes and seconds. So all the information is there, very clearly presented, and not cluttered at all, which is quite nice. Then moving in, you have a couple of different subdials as well as a date. They have a 6 o'clock date here, which I love. I personally prefer 6 o'clock dates. It keeps the symmetry of the watch, even though this dial isn't symmetrical. But I happen to like it more than 3 o'clock. Maybe it's also the vertical proportioning is a little bit nicer. Personal preference, but really cool. Then you have the two subdials here. So the subdial at 10 is a 24-hour hand, and that is not set separately, so that is linked to the actual time, but that lets you know AM, PM. It's also a quick reference for military time. I quite like having that feature, actually, especially on a watch with a day date, so when you're setting it, you know if it's going to change in the middle of the day or whenever. Just very helpful. And then you have the day date here, or the day rather, with the that is done through a hand, which is a little bit different. It's a little interesting. Definitely not something you see so often in watches. in this price range, well, definitely you very rarely see it. It puts a lot of emphasis on the day. Perhaps not that necessary, but it does have a nice look to it. And I like actually both of these subdials have a little bit of a kind of a concentric circle graining to them, so they have a little bit of texture, just adds to the quality of the finishing overall. Just, there's a lot going on here, and this watch comes out to $175. Like, that is just, it's great. It goes a very a long way to make this a very cool watch. Otherwise, you also have the Orient logo here. It's kind of hidden under the hands right now. I'll move that. It's got their kind of classic little foil stamped logo, kind of two lions around a shield. Orient automatic, 100 meters. So this watch does have 100-meter water resistance, also great. Definitely an active person's watch. The hands, then, you have two Roman sword hands for the hour and minute. They're in black with lume in the center. Very simple design. I think it works well with the proportioning of the dial, speaks to kind of pilots' watches, aviators' watches. Then you have this second hand with a triangular tip. Also works very nicely. Overall, I just think this is a really, really well-designed dial, very tight, very cool. The Orient Defender is powered by the caliber 46B40, which is an Orient in-house caliber made in Japan. It has 21 joules, it's an automatic, and has a frequency of 21,600 beats per hour. The watch also has a couple different functions. I'll show you how to set the watch now. So with the crown out in the first position, turn it counterclockwise to change the date here. In order to change the day, unfortunately, it is not quick set, so you don't turn it the other way. You have to go all the way through the day to get there, which can be a bit of a nuisance. It's definitely a drawback to the watch, though I don't think one that necessarily kills it. It just makes you probably either want to keep it wound or just wear the watch all the more often. So now, just to set the time, you pull it out. Second stop. This is not a hacking watch, so the second hand will keep running. And then you turn, obviously the crown to change the time. You'll see, as I'm about to go across the 24 hours, you'll see the day hand here jump between Friday and Saturday once. So there it's between them, and then it'll go the rest of the way. So yeah, if you have to go several days forward, you'll just have to keep turning to do it. Bit of a nuisance, but I don't think it's too bad. On the wrist, the Defender wears very nicely. The 42mm size is a very comfortable kind of medium to larger size for a sportier watch. I think the proportioning of this watch really makes sense, so it doesn't feel too big or too small in any way. And the 48mm lug to lug also sits pretty comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. So overall, I think it's just a very nice watch to wear. It's also fairly thin, so you don't have any kind of added bulk. It's not heavy either, so very comfortable. And then the look of it is just very precise. It's very military. A little bit more interesting than I'd say, a very standard looking field watch because of the added subdials, the lack of symmetry, as well as the molded markers. And then like I said, the granite gray color here is just a bit different. It's a little bit softer than black, but I'd say a little bit more interesting, perhaps a little bit more different than a whiter cream dial. So very cool. I really like the way it looks. It's something you can wear, I think, to work, or you can wear it casually. It's a very versatile design. The watch comes on actually a really nice strap. It's a 22mm lug width, and it has this very kind of supple black leather strap with white stitching on it and a bit of padding in there. This is actually probably one of the nicest straps I think I've seen from Orient. It's really very soft and very comfortable. I really like the pebbled texture of the leather. It's a little bit kind of a vintage look to it. It works really nicely with the design of the watch. Yeah, it's just a great strap, and since it's 22mm, obviously you can change it as much as you want, but yeah, it's a very nice strap for a standard strap. Should be no surprise that a military, styled watch like the Orient Defender goes really, really well on a NATO strap here. We have it on this khaki-colored Maritac with matching, brushed hardware, and that just looks, fantastic. The coloring, I think, really actually brings out a little bit of the brown coloring in the gray dial, and then just the overall look is, more aggressive and sporty and fun. A great option, or a secondary option to the leather strap for something just sportier, perhaps better for hot weather. To wrap up, the Orient Defender is simply a great watch for what you're paying. $175 is not very much to spend in the watch industry, and it's especially very little to spend on a cool automatic with nice styling. A lot more to offer than just a typical 3-hand movement. You have a day date. You have a day that's presented to you through a subdial in a hand, which is just kind of interesting, unique, as well as 24-hour hand, molded markers, just all these little things that kind of come together to make a watch that's really cool, really interesting, nice to look at, and just fun, and also, the quality all around is really, really good. The only drawback of the watch is that the day is not quick set, but that's pretty easy to get over, and it doesn't, take that long to turn the hand through all the hours to get to the day you need. You can keep it in a winder if you really want it, or you can just wear the watch, enough that wouldn't be an issue for you. So yeah, I think if you're looking for an interesting military style watch, don't want to break the bank by any means, you can hardly do better than this right here. So yeah, please read the full review on Worn and Wound. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Thank you. Goodbye.